Hello everyone, this is Melanie from Melanie B's Creative Studio and Melanie B's Creative Supplies. And I know it has been forever since I've seen you guys, and these kits are the reason for that. I started designing these kits about 11 months ago. Then I had to be me with them and really meticulously get into detail, and I won't even go into all the ins and outs about it. But as you can see, these are the new Create in Watercolor kits. Now, there are nothing like these on the market. These are watercolor paint by number kits. There are only 5 at this point. This video is going to introduce you to the kits, which designs I have to start with, and what you're going to get in each kit so that you'll know what to expect. The next video is going to be a tutorial. And in that video, I'm going to take one of these kits and I'm going to dive into how you're going to actually paint one of the kits. My goal is to start doing live YouTube videos and actually paint with you with these kits. So no matter which kit you choose, the concept is the same. Watercolors are not complicated to begin with, but I know a lot of you are very intimidated by the entire idea of switching from an acrylic to a watercolor medium. So I wanted to make this as simple as possible. Now, for those of you who have experience in watercolors, this is going to be different than what you're used to as well, because you're used to letting the colors kind of meld and blend together. And so this is a little different. The whole point of these kits is for you to do you boo-boo, okay? As you will see in a moment, that the photo references that I've included are actually hand painted by me. They will not look the same as what you're going to come out with once you're finished. So that was something I wanted to make sure people understood. Watercolors act different than acrylic paints. They're easier to blend, they dry lighter, and so your finished project may look lighter than another person's. So I like for mine to be very vivid, so I actually add a little bit more paint now that I've played with these kits a little bit and I've painted them and I've kind of gone back and painted them again. I have made my second paintings a lot more vivid than my first paintings and so on. But you can do whatever you want and however you want to do it. I pulled each one just to show you that I have a different insert on the front of each envelope so that you can distinguish the difference between your kits. Now, I want to say, and I've got to put this out there first thing, every single part of this is produced by hand, down to every label, down to every single detail. And that is why it may take up to 2 weeks for us to make these and get them out when there are lots of orders, okay? There are only 2 of us. There's me and my daughter who produce and pack and fill orders. So I want to make sure I'm clear about this because I'm one person. And so there are times that I am literally printing and cutting these little tiny components for the kits, and every single label, every single part is hand cut, hand printed by me and put together. Ashlyn doesn't actually do any of this part at all, but I want you to know that in advance so that you understand why these can take a while. So the first design is the green parrot, and I'm going to insert what my hand-painted version looks like of the green parrot right here. It is a beauty. So each palette will have up to 24 paints in it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out how your palette will look of paints. The palettes are hand squeezed. You're going to get Daniel Smith, which is the top of the line watercolors. And then I had a gentleman make me these grids from his 3D printer to use for the palettes. So then I go in and I hand squeeze the paints that I've determined will be the best for our kits. You'll also notice that the metal holder that I'm giving you is color coordinated to the kit. And that way it'll help distinguish which palette goes with which kit. The other thing I did is I made sure there was a label on the top, but I also wanted to make sure there was a label on the back of the palette that said Green Parrot, because if you have several of these palettes laying around, it is hard to tell which kit this goes with, because some of the colors will look dark. They don't look like what you're working with. And so if you have this palette laying around and then you have, let's say, the Covered Bridge, you may not be able to tell the difference between those two palettes. So if you look at the back, it will tell you this is the Green Parrot, the other one's the Covered Bridge, and so on. You're also going to get washi tape. The color of the washi tape may vary. In the front of every envelope, there's going to be a magnifying card. Now, the reason you're going to get one of these with every single kit, so that let's say you're going on a vacation, you want to take the kit with you, you will always have this in the front of your pocket so that you can just grab your kit and go, and you'll always have this card. Now, the reason I put stickers and labels on these is because when I was painting, before I had the labels on them, I would lay this little sucker down and I couldn't find it. So I went and designed a little sticker for the bottom so that when I left it somewhere, I could still find it. Listen, you guys, there's a method to my madness and a rhyme to every reason, okay? So same for this. I went ahead and put a label on everything because there was no way to find this little sucker once you lost it. If you, like, I was painting in the bed when I had COVID. I mean, yeah, so it was very handy to have these labels on there. And then for storage, one thing let me mention as well. For storage, just put it in there if you would like to. Let's talk about the other designs, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the components of what is in each kit. So the next one is the Covered Bridge. And this one seems to be the most popular with all of the orders that I've had so far. And this one looks like this. Now this one I am still painting, okay? I made some major changes. I changed the color palette after I thought it was finished. I am super meticulous about what these look like. I wanted the roof to separate more and have more contrast from the background. And so like after I had this one completed, or so I thought, completed, I went back and changed some of the palette. I mean, it was insane. So yeah, so the beginning of these, when I introduced them, I wanted to make some changes, and so it took a little longer, but this is a very popular one. I wanted to introduce a very beginner's design, which was this one, the Rainbow World Map. This one is going to require no blending. It is a beautiful rainbow palette, so it gives you every color. Now, it's funny because I thought I was finished, and then I went back and I went, oops, I forgot these little sections right here because I was having to hand paint every kit for my hand painted photo references. But yeah, I'll have to go back and finish that. This one is probably my favorite, and it is called the Colorful Sunset. And you'll see why here. Is it not spectacular? Now, this is another one I have reworked some since I painted this particular version of it. And I took out a lot of this detail. And the reason I did it is because there was a whole lot of extra openings that were really kind of unnecessary. So I will show you where I am with this right now and repainting this version. And it's very vivid. I wanted this one to be very vivid. Now, again, you can make this one not so vivid, but this is one that we're going to be working on in a tutorial. I'm still working on blending some areas here. I'm just going to give you that sneak peek. You can tone those colors down and make it more muted. It is just gorgeous. It's going to require quite a bit of blending, but that is why that is a particular painting that I'm going to bring in a tutorial to show you how I blend those colors together, make them meld into each other. And if you don't want to blend them, that painting still looks very beautiful. And then finally, I thought this is the time of year where something very holiday-ish is appropriate. And so I did this one, Holiday Door, something very kind of simplified, a little bit of blending between some of the reds and the greens and the topiaries and that kind of thing. And so this is the final design that I'm launching right now. And I want to jump into what is in each kit. I'm moving these out of the way and going back to the green Parrot. So first and foremost, you can see, of course, you're going to get a storage envelope. Now, the important thing about the storage envelope, if you have multiple kits, you can keep them stored in a very small amount of space. You've got the insert in the front that's going to tell you which kit you have. You have your palette with the designated number of paints in it and your washi tape. In addition, you're going to have 2 paint brushes. One of these is a size 0, one is a size 4. All right, so let's open this up and see what we have in here. Now, don't be surprised if a couple of these things have changed or change in the future and are kind of downsized a little bit, but you're going to get a postcard. I want you to check this first. Make sure you've got everything you're supposed to have in your kit when you receive it. The first thing we pack is the painting. So I know everybody's got a painting. So don't text me or message me and say, I didn't get a painting with my kit, because y'all, I know better. And I know that you got your paints, because those are the first things we put in, because we know those are the most important things in your kit. So if you tell me you didn't get one, I'm gonna be like, okay. So, but these are the things that are kind of just extras. We just wanna make sure that you know what you're supposed to have. Then this is a trifold brochure that I designed to help you along the way. In addition to the video, I want you to have this visual reference. These are things I'm going to show you in the tutorial, but you're going to have this as your reference for when I do the tutorial. This is kind of your backup for what did she say? All right, other helpful terms. Now, there are a lot of terms that you'll need to know when it comes to watercolor, but I kind of narrowed this down to the terms you're going to need for this kind of watercolor. I've taken what you know with acrylic and what you know of watercolor, and I put them together, and it's totally different than what you're used to. So yeah, you're welcome. You're gonna be like, oh no, she did it. But it's not difficult, okay? I promise you, I made this as simple as I possibly could. All right, on the back, it just gives you a little bit of do's and don'ts. Nothing complicated. This is just kind of, like I say, simplified. This is how you can find your kits. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have a new website, and I'm going to have to redo this. I just realized my new website no longer, for some reason, has the www. It just leads you to a totally non-existent website. So I'm going to take this off. I don't know why it doesn't work anymore, but it is just MelanieBeesCreativeSupplies.com, no www. Yeah, business went like after that change. I'm on Shopify now, and it, for some reason, did not transfer the www. But here's the website here, and I will put the link in the bottom. So if you can't find me, that is why. It's very crazy. Here are the colors that are going to make up your painting. This is the painted photo reference. I painted this when I developed the kit. I needed to hand paint it to make sure that it looked right, that the colors I chose were right. I hand chose every paint. And then if I didn't like that paint, after I started painting it, then I went and picked a different paint. And so when I say it took me 11 months, I'm not kidding you. It literally did, because I just went back and redid it. You guys know how I do, and that's why you haven't seen me for months. This particular kit may only have 17 paints, but these 17 paints create 49 individual colors. And you're probably like, what? But for example, and again, these are things I'm going to show you in the tutorial. Number 1 paint will create 3 different shades and tints. So basically, number 1 is the hue. The darkest version of this is the original hue. And then when we add water to it, we're going to get number 2 and number 3. And so that number 1 color, number 1, and this little, if you'll notice, this is my paint palette enlarged. So let's put our little palette here, and let's pretend like we blew this little palette up. This little number 1 is that. Number 2 is this. Number 3, even though it looks different, is that. Number 4. You see where I'm going with this, right? So number one paint is number one here, and that one color is going to make that hue, that tint, and that tint. And so that is why you're only going to have 17 paint colors, but you're still going to end up with 49 different colors of paint when you're done. Okay? Now paint zero, what that means is that's where you're going to leave things white. And that is where an accessory kit's going to come in, which we're going to talk about when I'm done here. But let's keep moving. All this is going to come together better when I do the tutorial video. I'm going to take my printed digital swatch and I'm going to use it to make my own swatch here. This is what I call my large paintable swatch. The reason I'm doing this is I need to practice making these colors before I jump into my painting, which we haven't looked at yet. But this is my way of being able to say, okay, I know how now, oh my gosh, how now, brown cow. I know how to create number one here. I know how to make number two. I know how to make number three and create these colors based on this. Now you guys know that my paint colors are never going to look exactly like a printed version because printers are calibrated differently, blah, 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 right? But the point is to get it as closely as possible to what is printed here. I've chosen paints that will be as close as possible to what is here, okay? So that everyone doesn't freak out. But I do have it right here written. Keep in mind, due to printing variations, your paints may not be an exact match to the swatches shown below. Please, you guys, understand. There's no way possible for your screen settings and printer settings to look exactly the same on everybody's printer and everybody's screen. But your piece will be fabulous. Trust me, okay? Trust me. You gotta trust, y'all. All right? Y'all. All right. Moving on. This is your mini swatch. The reason you have a mini swatch is because it is wonderful to have a mini version of it to put here. And I will show you how to use this once we get to the tutorial, okay? I make a mini version of my big swatch to put here so that I have a visual reference while I'm painting. This is just a little handy thing. If I have a paper in here, once my watercolors are dried up again, I will keep my swatch in here. Otherwise, I will misplace it because that is how I do things. All right, and finally, well, not finally, we got two more things. Here is your painting. You guys, please don't put your fingers all over it and then say it had a smudge because that is not the case. We do not put it in this kit if it has any fingerprints or anything. I don't put my hands on it. I don't touch it in any way, but let me show what I've done. So you have borders. None of your paintings that you'll receive will come right up to the edge because you're gonna need that space for washi tape to tape this down to a surface. You do not have to tape it down, but when you start adding water in large amounts, your paper may buckle. But I've left you borders. Now this one is not as easy to see, but on other kits, you'll be able to see that. All right, so here is your painting. Now what you're gonna notice, there's no numbers. Watercolors are transparent by nature, so there's no numbers on your painting because you don't want them to show. In addition, the lines are color coded so that you can kind of see what color is gonna go where. Great, huh? I really did try to think of everything. Now the best part is when you're painting, these lines will start to blend in to the paint itself. Now you may still see some of the line as you are painting, but to me, it's almost like the pen and ink. You kind of get that definition. You don't necessarily want to lose the definition. And so if you look at my painting here, you can still see some of the lines, but it gave it the depth that I needed, and I didn't want the lines really going anywhere. So I love having the lines. If I did them any lighter, you would struggle to see the lines and you might not be able to find them to paint. So I only chose the best quality materials. Now the paper that I printed on for the paintings, I went through and I researched and I tested. I used 140-pound paper because that's what would fit in the printer I purchased for these kits. I wanted to make sure that it was not going to buckle as bad. I wanted to make sure that I tested for adding a lot of water without pilling up, like where the paper would pill on the surface. I went through test after test. I watched video after video with master artists that were watercolorists. I mean, you talk about research. I've done it this year, but I did use a top of the line paper that is really thick, and I'm really impressed with how it's holding up with the water. So lastly is your reference guide. I'm going to keep this one sideways because it is a large piece. This is the way you're going to be able to see all the numbers. Originally, I had it printed smaller, and then I realized it was very small. So you guys are probably going to struggle, even with a magnifying card, to be able to see the numbers. So then I blew it up on a 13 by 19 piece of paper and printed it this way. And so now that you've got it this size, plus the 3D magnifying card, you should be able to find these numbers without a problem. So this is a little extra accessory kit that I have created to go with your kits. You'll only need one of these, and I put it into a storage box that you can just take with you when you're traveling, or if you just want to go outside and paint. It's just a little handy box to take with you. So what is in this kit? The first thing is going to be a little bottle of masking fluid. So remember when I was showing you the green parrot painting and I said that 0 means white. With watercolor, when there is white, you don't typically paint with white watercolor. Now, people who watercolor would know that you can use white gouache, which is a little bit more opaque white, but in most cases you use something called masking fluid or masking frisket. What I wanted to do is make a little side accessory box that would allow you to get a bottle of the masking frisket or fluid that would basically hold you through every kit I ever designed. Like, this is enough fluid to last you for all of the kits, probably ever, because you use such a tiny amount of this. Now, the bottles are not completely full. They're about 2/3 of the way full. And the reason I did that is because this was the smallest bottle I could find. But the reason I'm telling you that is I don't want you thinking I have shortchanged you on your fluid. I don't want you thinking anything has leaked. As long as you keep this protective cap on the tip of your bottle, this should be enough to last you a long time, as long as you don't let it dry out. All right, one of the other major components in this little box is the water mister bottle. And you'll see while I'm painting in the tutorial that just misting your paints is a very convenient way to keep them wet and keep working with them. The beauty of having watercolor paints is that if they dry out, you just wet them and you just keep using them. You're not like, oh, my paints are dry and I've wasted them forever. It is fabulous. So I always have a mister bottle that is one of those extras that is fabulous. But if you go to buy one on Amazon or something, you will have to buy 20 or you'll spend $6 on one. So I put all these little things in this box for, I think I have it for $8.99 or something at my website. At the new website, for my US customers, if you place an order over $75, you're now getting free shipping. And for my international customers, your orders over $150 are getting you free shipping. So consider that when you're buying the watercolor kits or any of these items here, you know, that might save you a lot. All right, I'm also putting in an extra roll of the washi tape, just in case you have to tape or retape your paintings. It's just nice to have a little bit extra of the tape. And then finally, I have a little pop-up water cup. So the reason I have this in here is just for travel purposes. You know, we all probably have the water rinse cups, but I thought if you're going outside and you just want a quick little something to pack, how small and convenient is this little guy, right? And all of this just fits really neatly down in our box. so that we can take it with us. So there are no color choices when you go to get an accessory kit. We just kind of box everything up to coordinate. Well, everyone, I hope you guys are as excited about these kits as I am. I have been just so ready to do these videos for you guys and let you know what I've been working on and where I've been and why I haven't been here for you and why I haven't been doing my collaboration videos like I usually do. I did have COVID for about 2 months, and so that did put me behind a long way. But other than that, I have been really trying to get these done to bring them to you guys. And so if you will stay tuned, I will be back with the tutorial about how to use these kits so that you can see how easy they are. If you're interested in these, you can shop our brand new website at Melanie B's Creative Supplies. I will put the link right here and also down in the description. I'll also put the link for each kit and the accessory kit. And I also have a new silicone mat that is perfect for working with your acrylic paints, your watercolor paints, and all kinds of other things. It's a mixed media mat. I'll include it below too. I'll be using it in the tutorial as well, and I'll put that below. But you guys, as always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for being patient while I came back to you with this video. Hope you all are staying healthy and well, and I am so glad to be back. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you back soon.